So you're sitting at your computer, you're minding your own business, doing whatever it is you do, and all of a sudden, without warning, this happens. Everything becomes fuzzy or blurry, and you're not sure what to do because you've most likely had your vision your entire life. I am here to tell you, don't panic. There are agencies out there that can help you. There are doctors out there who are specialized in determining eye conditions. In the case you see before you, this particular case may or may not be correctable with things such as contact lenses or eyeglasses. If they are not, then there is technology that can help you to continue in your daily life. There's screen magnification, and if your vision's getting worse, beyond just blurred vision, there is screen reading. In other words, your computer will talk to you. And it's rather interesting because with the proliferance of the iPhone these days, I cannot tell you how many articles I've come across that ask people, how do I make my iPhone stop talking? How do I turn off VoiceOver? Well, I'm here to tell you, don't. And you're probably thinking, well, I can see perfectly fine. I don't have a problem. I understand, but here's the thing. A lot of people don't seem to sit down and think that their vision is precious. And a lot of people are thinking, well, I'm young. My vision won't go until I'm 70 or 80 or something. Wrong. If your family has a history of eye disease, there's a chance you could get something. If you end up in an accident, there's a chance you could end up going blind. If you are exposed to some kind of chemical from your workplace, what I'm saying is don't assume that you're going to have your vision your whole life. If your vision does start to deteriorate, and let's take for an example, that you're a user of an iPhone, you can still see some. This is when you should start to adapt. This is when you should start to search for technology. These two examples here, Magic and JAWS, are both by a company called Freedom Scientific. All you have to do is go to their website on your Windows PC. You can download a copy of Magic Screen Magnification if you feel that's going to help. Or if that's not going to help, then you can use JAWS for Windows screen reading software. There's also other screen reading software that you can get as free trials. And the reason there are free trials out there is because the software is not cheap. There's also a free option on Windows called NVDA, which, as I understand it, is gaining in popularity. But if you're in a work situation and you need to get work done, more than likely your institution will end up getting you JAWS if you're going through an institution to help you get back to work or school. Now, basically what I'm saying is you need to sit down and you need to start using this software. If you feel that your vision might be deteriorating, but you still have usable vision, there is no time like the present to start using this software. A lot of people are thinking, I remember many years ago, I told my friend about VoiceOver. They turned it on. The very first thing out of their mouth, the very first thing they said out of their mouth was, how do I turn it off? I've seen more articles about that than I know how to count. Which is to say millions upon millions upon millions. That's the most common reaction to people who are fully sighted and have experienced VoiceOver, for the most part, by mistake. Maybe they're exploring their phone. That's why there's a little alert that comes up the very first time you start VoiceOver. It says, VoiceOver changes the gestures used to control your iPhone or iPad or iPod Touch. Would you like to continue? You can press the home button to get out of it, and that wasn't always the case. You manually had to, when VoiceOver was first introduced with the iPhone 3GS, you needed to manually get around the way a screen reader user would get around to get to the cancel button and double tap to activate. No doubt Apple's heard a lot of complaints about this. I say, rather than complaining, turn it into a training opportunity. Sit down and actually try using the software. And you're probably thinking, well, what about my ability to read? If you're willing to take up the time to learn Braille, then you, in essence, get your vision back. And what I mean by this is, speech can only take you so far. Words like THERE and THEIR are very easily missed by screen readers in the sense that I am going to go THEIR versus I am going to go THERE. Unless you know your way around your screen reader and can activate character reading on the fly and can catch that misspelling, that just takes away productivity time. Utilizing Braille is far more efficient, and you get to see what's on your screen. It's going to be only one line at a time, but you can still see what's on your screen, in essence getting your vision back tactily. These Braille displays are compatible with the Macintosh, with Windows, with iOS, and even with Android. This is an example of VoiceOver on OS X, and a lot of people, again, are asking, I accidentally turned it on. One of the beautiful things about the Macintosh is that its access technology is built in. But for sighted people, this can be seen as a bit of a burden. And they'll ask, how do I turn it off? I'm not blind. I don't need this. You know? How do I don't need all the talking. How do I stop the talking? That's the very first thing they will ask. And it's not their fault. It's not their fault. It's the fact that VoiceOver, for a lot of people, is the very first exposure that they've had to assistive technology for people with vision loss. Same thing about magnification. I've gotten quite a few comments on past videos about the screen magnifier in OS X, asking how to turn it off, or thanking me on how to turn it off. And again, it's not anybody's fault. It's just the fact that people seem to be in this frame of mind where you will have your vision forever. I think we need to get out of that mindset, because if we do and we start to sit down and realize and play with the technology, play with the VoiceOver, play with Magic, play with JAWS, play with VoiceOver on our iPhones, you will notice in time that if you do end up in a state where your vision is like this, blurred or gets even worse, then you won't have to panic near as much. So what I'm saying is, if you are starting to lose your vision, don't panic. And for those of you who have perfect vision at the moment, I would say don't expect it to last. And you're probably thinking, well, it'll deteriorate as I get older. Well, something could happen a lot sooner than you think. So if you just suspect that you might have vision problems, obviously go to see a doctor. But in the meantime, if you want to prepare yourself for a possibility of vision loss, then instead of rejecting VoiceOver or rejecting this technology, rather than running and screaming and saying, how do I turn this off, sit down and actually learn it. Sit down and get familiar with it. At the very least, what it'll do is it'll help you to realize that if your vision does go, you can still continue to use your technology. You can still continue to use your iPhone. The same can be said with getting around. All you need is the proper training. You can still be completely independent if you lose your vision. It just takes time and adapting to a new world. And like I said, no time like the present to start. If you suspect something might be a problem, go to see the doctor and sit down and try all this out. What do you guys think? Thank you for watching. Comments are welcome, and have a nice day.